Okay, hello to you, Ray, and well done for pressing play on this video so that it can help you go through your test and where you went wrong and how you can make improvements. If you haven't yet done the test, do that first, submit it, I'll mark it for you, then I'll direct you to this video if you need to have a look at question 7 because you struggle with that, or 3A, or whatever it happens to be. You then come onto here. You can watch the whole thing and get a really good idea of the whole test if you want, or you can just skip through to the questions I've recommended. All right. Okay, well, I hope you did well, and if not, that's the whole point of going through improving it yourself. So I hope you're happy with this, and as always, if there's any problems, anything you're still not sure about, please do comment and on the homework and let me know, and I'll try and help you out. All right. Okay, let's begin. Rounding 3.1415 to the nearest whole number. This is the whole number, so we need to look at the number after that to decide whether it's a keep the same or round up. Of course, 1 is going to keep it the same, so it's just 3. Next one, to the nearest 1,000. Here's the 1,000. We're going to look at this number to decide what to do. That, of course, is a round up number, so 9,000 becomes 10,000. And you might think, well, that's the nearest tens of thousand. Yeah, it is, but it's also the nearest 1,000, and that's what we're after. On London Road, there is a school at number 20 and a church at number 30. Bob lives at number 26. Is he close to the church or the school? Well, geographically speaking, we could never tell, but obviously it's a maths question. So the fact that 26 is closer to 30, that's the church. So we would write church. Okay? Round 6.891 to 1 decimal place. That's our 1 decimal place, the first number after the decimal point, and that's the number decides if it goes up or keeps the same, and of course that is a go up, so 8 goes up to 9. The next one, there's our second decimal place, 1, 2. That's the number decide if it goes up or down. It doesn't, it keeps the same because 3 isn't enough to round it up, as it were. Next one, I've got to type that into my calculator, so obviously you're allowed a calculator for this one. 4.78 divided by 2.14. Right, sometimes, by the way, it says write the whole number in your calculator display. Now sometimes it's going to do something like that. You press SD, this one here, to make that change into another number. It's actually got recurring dot, and it's really, really long, so we can look all the way to the end to see where it recurs again. It's going to be a long time, but that's okay because it's not asked you for the whole display or anything. That would take you forever. It's asking you to round it to 2 decimal places, so that would be 2.23, because that 3 wouldn't do anything, and it doesn't matter after that. It's only that 3 that we've got to think about, and it doesn't do anything, so it's just 2.23. There's your answers. Right, round 23,492 to 2 significant figures. There's your first one, because it's not 0, so the first one is it. And there's your second. So we're going to look at this one to decide. And of course it's a 4, so we're not going to do any changes, but we do need to fill in that 492 with 0, 0, 0. 23,000 is the closest you can get to that with 2 significant figures. The next one, 3 sig fig, well, that's not 1, that's not 1, that's not 1. It's until there. That's your first one, because it's the first non-zero. Remember, once you've got your first non-zero, you're allowed to use other zeros as significant figures. We have to use the others as significant figures, but until then, you don't worry about those too much, although you will need it still to write your answer. I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to look at that number afterwards, decide whether we do anything to that 9. 2, nope, we don't. But we've still got to fill in those zeros to make sure it's in the right position. And then the 2, 4, you could in theory put 0, 0, but of course 3 sig figs, you don't need those zeros to show us where those are, so you don't write anything after that, okay? Type 19.78 into your calculator, 19.78 squared. So I'm going to press that button there. You could always write this 19.78 times 19.78, but obviously good to get used to where your square button is. Press equals. show your answer to three significant figures. So it's 391.2484, 391.2484. Of course, that's not to three sig figs yet. Then we go 1, 2, 3, and we look at that one, and that's telling us not to do anything, so we leave it as 391. Estimate now. Now, estimate, remember, always round to one significant figure, unless it's in a square root or a cube root. In square root, you round it to the nearest square. Cube root, you round it to the nearest cube. But to one sig fig otherwise. So 14 is just 10. And 0.51 is 0.5. Remember, that's your first sig fig, not the 0. So 10 times a half, 5. Estimate the area of this. I've got a feeling like that might have been exactly the same as one of the ones I've done. I've just realised, just coincidence, I think. One of the ones I did in examples. Estimate the area of this triangle, where we're going to round that to 8 and that to 9. Careful, if you've got 8 there, of course that rounds up. So we do 8 times 9, and don't forget to half it, of course. 72 halved is 36 millimetres squared. I'll give you the 2 marks for 36. Okay? Didn't ask you state units, that's fine. Last page, last few questions. Estimate again, well that's going to be 6, that's going to be 8. A lot of people then write 12 here, but of course that would be 10. 6 times 8 is 48, divided by 10 is 4.8. Now some of you would think that's a bit hard done by not to get the mark there for 4 or for 5. I'll give you 1 mark if you wrote 4 or 5. 5 because you would have rounded it then, your answer, and 4 if you basically rounded that to 12, which does go nice into 6 times 8, which is why it's a bit ridiculous. That will always get you the mark, so I'm going to be harsh and say that's what I'm going to expect. Okay, just so you get used to it. This one, of course, nearest square number to there, well, we've got 100, we've got 121, we've got 144, so of course that's in between these two, and of course much closer to root 121, which is of course 11. And a cube has a volume of 29 centimetres cubed. Estimate the length of each edge. Well, each edge, if you had in a cube all of the edges, x, 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 then of course you would times them all together, or cube it, to get 29. So we're going to cube root the 29, and the closest cube number to 29 is of course 27. So cube root 27, which is 3. That's a nasty one at the end there, but of course it is the extension. All right, hope you did well, and as always, please do comment if you need any help. See you later.